Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of Instrument Investigation. In this series, I'll be taking a look at a bunch of different electronic wind instruments and talking about their features and design. Today, we'll be taking a look at the Vangoa EWI-100 MIDI saxophone. They very kindly provided me with this instrument so that I could talk about it on the channel. So first things first, let's open up this box and see what's inside. All right, here we go. So we got the MIDI EWI by Vangoa. By the way, I think this is the first unboxing video that I've ever done on this channel, so I don't really know what I'm doing. Anyway, this is a nice box. Over here we got a rundown of the features. We got 12 kinds of tone, transpose function, rechargeable battery, earphone interface, wireless MIDI. Nice, I like all those things. Cool, well, yeah, let's open this up, see what happens. So looks like we got a little bit of a instruction manual, pamphlet, operating guide. Ooh, look at that. That's looking real nice. Wow, okay, so it looks like we got an aux cable here. We got a USB-A to USB-C cable. That's nice. And what have we here? Ooh, this is nice. This is like a little velvet texture. Oh, this is like a little carrying sleeve. So in this plastic here, this must be the silicone mouthpiece. Kind of looks like we got two mouthpieces here. All right, now we got the instrument itself. So this is my first time holding it. It's actually got kind of a nice weight to it. I assume that's the metal parts here. So we got the headphones, got the 5 volts in. And then on the back, looks like we've got 2 octave positions over here, I assume. I haven't played this thing yet. And a nice little interface with buttons. So I'm pretty excited to try this thing, you guys. I think first let's just try turning it on and see if it's got any charge in it. Hey, it looks like it does. Whoa. It's talking at me. I guess this must be the 10 tones. Volume control, it goes up to 12. A bit of a missed opportunity there. All right, well, I think that concludes the unboxing portion of this video. All right, this thing's fully charged, powered on, and ready to play, so let's give it a shot. All right, so my first impression is this responds really well to my breath, and the keys respond really quickly as well. They are, of course, touch sensitive, so that's no surprise. Okay, cool. So, as far as I can tell, there's no deglitch function or key delay function. So if you don't know about this deglitching or key delay, basically it just means that if you play a note under a certain duration, that note doesn't get passed. And that's really handy sometimes because if you're trying to coordinate, like moving all of your fingers and your thumb at the same time to cross the octave, that can be really tricky to do cleanly. So adding a little bit of key delay makes it easier to do without like that little like bleep glitching sound. It is a nice function to have, there's a reason it's built into the higher end electronic wind instrument models like the EWI and the nurad. Anyway, let's try another preset. I think this one's my favorite. You know what, I'm actually going to take the reverb out though. So you can actually set the reverb anywhere between 0 and 30. So I'm going to set it to 0. Yeah, I think this is my new favorite preset. It responds really fast. Number 4, if you're wondering. I really like the pinky keys. I think the fact that it has pinky keys really makes this deserve the name of MIDI saxophone, despite being, a little bit on the smaller size. It makes it really easy for me to, take all of that chromatic practicing that I've been doing on the saxophone for years and just applied directly to this instrument. I did notice though that the fingering for B flat is a little bit weird on this instrument. Instead of 1 and 1, which is what I would have expected given that that's a valid fingering for B flat on both saxophone and flute, the fingering is actually like 1 and 3 like this. Now it's kind of weird. I don't actually know a single instrument that does that other than I guess the recorder. Come to think of it, I actually have a clarinet from the 1940s that does that, but modern clarinets don't do that. So I'm really hoping that, you know, if they ever do a firmware update, they add this fingering for B flat and also this fingering for B flat. I think it'd be really nice to have all of those options, and it would make this even more deserving of the name MIDI saxophone. Okay, so I was working on this video and playing this instrument, and I was thinking to myself, you know what, I'd actually also like some alternative fingerings for D and maybe some alternative fingerings for F sharp. And then I got to thinking like, okay, how can I make a fingering system that is accessible to saxophone players, flute players, and recorder players, and is also like, you know, pretty easy for beginners to pick up and play. So I just, you know, went ahead and made a fingering chart because that's what I do. So here I present to you Stef's ideal fingering system for the Vangoa EWI-100 MIDI saxophone. So Vangoa, thank you again for you know, sending me that instrument. It really means a lot to me. I hope you also respect my opinions as, you know, someone who's been playing acoustic wind instruments for about 15 years and digital wind instruments for like 10 years. So yeah, I'll you know, send you this fingering chart and you can give it to your dev team, and I really hope to see it in a firmware update. I really do think it'll be worth the effort to you know, code it in there, and you know, I don't think it'll take much effort at all. I think it's something that your devs could probably do in like an afternoon. Anyway, back to the video. What I'm really curious about as somebody who loves synthesizers is, how does this work as a MIDI controller? Well, let's hook this up to my computer and find out. So this instrument can connect as a MIDI controller through either Bluetooth or through this USB port. Let's try it with a Bluetooth connection and see how that works. So if I want to connect this with Bluetooth to my MacBook Air, what I gotta do is I gotta go to Audio MIDI Setup, I have to hit Command 2 to get to the MIDI window, go to this little Bluetooth sign, and then MIDI EWI, that's this. Just hit connect, and it's good to go. So the real question, I guess, is which synthesizer should I try controlling with this first? I think I'm gonna use Vital because it's got a really nice user interface, so I'll be able to see what's going on. So I'm noticing quite a bit of latency and even some like stuck notes and missed notes with this Bluetooth. So I feel like that could be optimized a little bit. I'm going to turn the volume down on this to 0 so that we only hear the sound that's coming out of my laptop. Let's try connecting with USB and see if that helps matters. So first I'll disconnect here, then I'll hook this up, plug it into my laptop, plug the other end in here. This is the same cable that came with the instrument, by the way. Oh yeah, that's much better. So the only thing I'm noticing right now is that glide isn't being activated, and I know from experience that that means that there's a little bit of a gap between these MIDI notes. So let's just zoom in and see. Yep, look at that. There's a little gap between each and every MIDI note. They're not like right up next to each other, and they're not overlapping, which is what you'd see from an instrument like the EWI or the nurad. Hey, it's me from the future again. Just to illustrate my point here, I'm going to play the same major scale on the same synthesizer patch on both the nurad and the EWI, and also the Vangoa EWI-100. So. So here's the nurad. You can see here that the notes actually overlap a little bit, which is really nice. And then next up over here, we played the EWI, and here the notes, they don't overlap, but they are like right next to each other with no gaps. So that's really important. And then over here, this was the Vangoa EWI-100, and you can see here There's a pretty substantial gap between these two notes, and for that reason it didn't sound as smooth as the other instruments. And that's something that could be fixed in a firmware update, and something that I think really should be fixed in a firmware update. Something I like to do to test the breath sensor on electronic wind instruments is actually hum into it while I'm playing. And if we get a little bit of distortion, you know it's a very sensitive and very good breath sensor. Yeah, this is a good breath sensor. Okay, so this is working reasonably well now. Let's try playing a tune. So here are my final thoughts. For an instrument that's priced at $69.95 USD, it's pretty decent. I really like the compact design, and the breath sensor is really good. I also really like that there are pinky keys because it makes it much easier to play in different keys, and it makes it easier for me to apply all of my saxophone and flute training to this instrument. As I mentioned earlier, I really wish there were some better fingering options for B flat/A sharp because this doesn't really do it for me. I'd really prefer to use 1 and 1 or 1 and 2. Hopefully this will be fixed in a future firmware update, and maybe they could also implement some key delay/deglitching. And the other thing that would be really nice to have in a firmware update is changing the MIDI output data so that instead of having space between the MIDI notes, they overlap. Honestly, I think with a couple of small changes to the firmware, this could be a really great option for a budget MIDI controller, and one that I would really enjoy playing. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching this episode of Instrument Investigation. If you found this video to be helpful or interesting, please like and subscribe, and don't hesitaate to support the channel over on my Ko-Fi page. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.